Definitely, sir. All these years, micro-lumbar discectomy has been the gold standard in disc surgery. So, moving, I think there are no questions. So, we move to the next speaker, Dr. Shashi Vadanan from Bangalore. He'll be speaking on PDS for lumbar canal stenosis. Welcome, sir. So, you can start your talk, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Posterior dynamic lumbar stabilization in lumbar canal stenosis. First of all, greetings to one and all from Bathinda. That's the hospital in which I am presently serving. Many different surgical treatments for degenerative lumbar canal stenosis exist. Decompressive surgery is one of the most used therapies. After decompression, segmental instability can occur. It could be caused either by degenerative segmental disease of the disc, joints and ligaments, or as a consequence of surgical decompression itself. Lumbar spine fusion surgery is an accepted modality for treating segmental instability since past 4 decades. Decompressive surgery for lumbar canal stenosis is a common procedure. After surgery, segmental instability sometimes occurs. Therefore, different methodologies for restabilization have been developed over the past few decades. Rigid fusion has been implicated in accelerating degeneration in the adjacent motion segments that we all know. It can also lead to flat back syndrome, pseudoarthrosis, device-related osteopenia, and worsening of biomechanical properties of the spinal ligament. The procedure lacks predictable outcome, and these inconsistencies stem from a lack of understanding regarding the exact mechanism of back pain. The dynamic fusion philosophy is that it mimics the natural pattern of weight bearing and spinal movements. Works on the principle of transferring load from a degenerated disc or a facet to a dynamic stabilization construct without compromising the normal segmental motion. Dynamic stabilizing devices are a recent technological development since the past 2 decades. It is hypothesized that dynamic stabilization devices control the neutral posture of the segment and control sagittal plane bending of the treated level. It unloads the intervertebral disc at the treated level and modify the distribution of loads within segments, in particular within the intervertebral disc. So this paper, we attempted to critically evaluate dynamic fusion procedure and compare it with the conventional rigid fusion in lumbar canal stenosis. We have tried to understand as to why, in spite of offering several advantages, dynamic fusion lacks universal acceptance. This is a single institutional prospective study from the month of September 2016 to 2018. 10 patients underwent posterior pedicle fixation based on the dynamic stabilization. The clinical outcomes were compared with 10 historical controls that had undergone rigid fusion and shared similar clinical profile. Thrust was on evaluating posture-related pain and improvement in functional status between the 2 groups. Single-level lumbar canal stenosis undergoing single fusion were taken into this procedure. The procedure was carried out under GA with the patient in the dorsal position over the bolster to maintain the lordosis of the lumbar spine. Fusion was carried out using the dorsal midline approach. For foraminal stenosis, facetectomies, flavectomies, and discectomies were performed on a case-to-case basis. The age group was between 17 to 70 years. The patients who presented had features in the MRI of degenerative lumbar disc causing lumbar canal stenosis, foraminal stenosis, following conservative management, and also grade 1 listhesis with lumbar canal stenosis. Patients who were excluded from the study were those with osteoporosis, tumors, trauma, primary infection or inflammation, inflammatory etiologies, congenital neural tube defects, visceral disease, or previous lumbar surgeries were excluded from the studies. So this is how the dynamic construct looks like. We had used the Dynasis system from Zimmer. It has basically got 2 titanium screws which anchor the spine. There's a polycarbonate spacer, which is, you can see this transparent spacer which is here. It's made of polycarbonate urethane, and there's a cord which passes through this, connecting both, and that is a tension band to limit the spinal flexion. It's a polymer cord. Now, standard exposure that we do for posterior fixation, a dorsal midline approach. The pedicle screws are placed in the usual manner under CM guidance. And then what we do is, instead of the rod, we pass the polyester cord. Once we pass the cord, then we take the measurement between the two pedicle screws on each side. That is a spacer device which you can see I'm holding. Once we measure the correct distance, then we put in the spacer between the two. Like here you can see there's a spacer which I'm holding, the polyurethane spacer, and that is placed between the two pedicle screws on each side. Then we tighten the top screws are tightened, and the correct, it is something like what we do in the normal fusion. The principle of dynamic stabilization is that the cord which is there, the polyester cord which is there in the center, this one prevents overflexion, that is the inner cable, whereas overextension is controlled by the outer spacer. So we compared the pain between the two groups because that's what matters. The aim of the surgery is to relieve pain. So what we found that in the pre and the post-operative pain status, in the rigid fusion group, the posture-related axial pain, when it was 70%, the post-operative status, it reduced to 50%. Whereas flexion extension pain was better relieved by dynamic fusion. Like before the surgery, it was 80%, whereas after the surgery, it was 10%. But when you look at the axial rotation pain, the pain during axial rotation, there was no difference in the dynamic fusion. Whereas in the rigid fusion, there was a significant difference in the pain during axial rotation. Also, we compared the movement related support post-operatively, that is the pain. So the functional capacity in the rigid fusion before the surgery was 3 out of 10. After the surgery, that is 6 months, it was 5 out of 10. That is an increase, modest increase. But when dynamic fusion, there was a more improvement in the functional capacity. That is 7 out of 10. The complications on both the sides, there were no complications. So that is equal. But the literature, when you compare complications between these two procedures, similar infection rates and reoperation rates were compared. Published literature on lumbar fusion. There was a higher incidence of pedicle screw loosening, although there was a lower incidence of screw fractures. The former probably due to long-term repetitive demands on non-rigid hardware. The overall incidence of anterior segment disease, adjacent segment disease degeneration appeared to be lower than that of many published rates after fusion, lumbar fusion, which may support an offloading of biochemical stress at the adjacent segment. So to summarize the results, dynamic fusion group provided significant reduction in posture-related pain during flexion and extension, but it did not improve the pain due to axial rotation. The fixed fusion group reported more significant pain relief on axial rotation. At the end of 6 months following the surgery, the dynamic fusion group had a significantly more improvement in the functional status. So when we do the detailed comparative analysis of the two, then this is what we could infer. Rigid fusion is the gold standard for the past more than 4 decades, whereas dynamic fusion is a recently introduced procedure, maybe 2 decades. The principle of rigid fusion is load transference away from the disease segment by arresting normal segmental motion. Whereas dynamic fusion, the principle is load transference away from the diseased segment without compromising the normal segmental motion. Rigid fusion is implicated in adjacent segment disease, pseudoarthrosis, altering biomechanical properties of the spinal ligament, and dynamic fusion theoretically avoids these complications. Rigid fusion improves axial rotation related pain, whereas dynamic fusion improves flexion extension related pain more than axial pain. Indications for rigid fusion are wide. It can be used for lumbar canal stenosis, wherein one is causing instability, any kind of spinal instability between the segments, it is used. Whereas dynamic fusion has to be used only in select group. For example, it can't be used in grade 2, grade 3 listhesis, or when there is more of dissection which is involved. Rigid fusion studies in the animals have shown that there is faster degeneration of the disc. Whereas in animal studies which have been done for dynamic fusion, they found that intervertebral disc might be allowed to regenerate because the pressure is taken away from the discs. So to conclude, dynamic stabilization appears to be a better alternative to rigid fixation in a select subset of patients with lumbar canal stenosis having flexion extension posture related pain. We recommend its use in addressing cases of lumbar canal stenosis where instability results following surgical decompression. Thank you. New technology is not good or bad by itself. It's all about how the people choose to use it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So it was a wonderful presentation. So definitely more people do it and more results come out. So we can maybe increase the indications for dynamic stabilization also, which is more easier, and it needs validation. We need to do our own studies and present our results. So longer the follow, we can have more clarity about this technique. So we have 3 minutes left. So any questions regarding posterior dynamic stabilization? We can take 2 questions. Any doubts or any questions from the audience? So I have one question, Shashi sir. So in your selection of cases, were the foraminal stenosis were excluded or you had included in this study in your cases? So you were mute, sir. If someone can unmute Dr. Shashi.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Yes. In my case, actually, out of 10 cases, 2 had components of foraminal stenosis. And so all these patients were assessed for pain, that is the vertebral pain and also the radicular pain.
Okay.
So in my case, out of 10, 2 patients did have foraminal stenosis, for which we had to do a foraminotomy to open up the foramen.
Okay. So definitely, because you are not putting any cage in between the disc space, so chance of foraminal narrowing in future is little bit there. So definitely,
yes. So
I
totally agree with you. Yeah, case selection. That's what one has to be very selecting the case. The initial thing one has to be careful, because the more dissection, the more you are doing dissection, more you are destabilizing the spine. Some anxiety always remains that the construct may not be able to give a proper immobilization. But even this is a foraminal stenosis, 2 cases after 6 months they had significant improvement. So, but still it is too early to comment whether it can be, the indications can be taken up on a wider front for more range of cases.
Did you have any implant related issues, the cord or the spacer? Had any implant related issues?
No, actually there was no implant related issue. Only thing what I found is that when you are putting the spacer between the 2 pedicle screws, that time the measurement has to be correct, because in case you distract it or retract it too much, then there could be a problem.
Okay.
So that selection of the distraction between the 2 pedicle screws on each side, one has to be very careful, because if you over distract or you retract it too much, then there'll be a constant pain to the patient. So that one has to avoid. Out of actually 10 cases, 1 case, the first case had this problem. So then subsequently the too much of distraction I used to avoid.
Okay.
So that technique has to be, it comes only with practice.
So definitely, sir, with your experience, I think if a patient has a good disc height maintenance, and they are the good patients for this technique. So I think definitely in future we need to study this and have more. We can do more cases in future and present yourself.
Yes.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So any more cases? Any more? One question we can take. 1 more minute is there. Any question from the audience? So probably audience has a sumptuous lunch, and probably they're being a last session, so they're relaxing.